Hey, all, welcome back to Big Shoulders. We've been away for a little bit, so thanks for your patience. I have been called away to other work, which is really nice to get. So there's going to be even more stuff coming eventually, but you know how it is in life. You can't pull in the harvest until you plant the seeds. But we're back today, and today's show, I really wanted to focus on something. We've got all these guests planned, and it has some people had to reschedule and other topics and things that I kind of want to do more roundtable style with. And so scheduling is scheduling, and it's hard to get all that stuff down. But in the meantime, I was thinking, okay, what just in terms of my pure love for Chicago, my pure love for my city and its culture, and what is it that I could just talk about? And I was sitting right there, as someone who kind of born and raised far southwest, uh, Chicagoland, spent a lot of time. When I first got to, when we were into the city proper, it was West Side, Little Italy, Medical District, and then up to Albany Park, and then East Rogers Park, and then finally Lincoln Square for my last few years um, on the north side. And as you guys know, I split my time between Chicago and LA because I am a aspiring filmmaker and I've been an actor since 2007. And one of the things now is I really spend most of my time in Chicago on the West Side, and I really love the West Side. The West Side, I had spent time there, had lived there, for a period of time, but there's something about coming back to it after having been away from it for so many years, but also getting to experience it through the eyes of my California family that comes to visit Chicago and is absolutely in love with Chicago, by the way. They can't get enough of it. They love the food, they love the culture, they love the architecture, everything we have to offer, the warmth of our people. And so much of that has been experienced on the west side of Chicago. And I'm beginning to wonder if maybe the west side is the best side. And of course, there's no best side of Chicago. Your home is where your heart is. But I've done quite a bit of the north side. I really want to do more with the south side, having had family and friends there for so long. And I do feel that the south side definitely gets neglected in terms of the in so many conversations and so many dialogues. The south side does get neglected, as does the west side. But for purposes of this episode, and having spent so much time now on the west side of Chicago and sort of rediscovering it on my own and really through the eyes of my family, that it's completely fresh for them. Again, I had experience obviously being a Chicagoan and having lived in Little Italy and Medical District, but really getting a chance to rediscover and see it through their eyes. It's just been so cool. And so, what makes the west side of Chicago one of the best sides? Again, a lot of it's going to boil down to not just the walkable streets and the great neighborhoods, but the food and the drink and all that. And I basically kind of broke down by neighborhood. Uh, and by the way, all of these are neighborhoods I would move to in a minute. There's a couple of them that I wish I could buy right now, but the timing isn't right. But eventually, I could see myself, uh, buying in one of these neighborhoods. And I guess to begin with, my family is really impressed with Ukrainian Village on the west side. Ukrainian Village, obviously, it's always sort of been there. When I was coming up, I remember like late '90s, early 2000s, it being one of those quote unquote neighborhoods in transition. And again, depending on who you are, everybody's got an opinion about Chicago and its neighborhoods, and no more so than those people who have never been there. So you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt when somebody says, "Oh, I don't know if I live there. I don't know if it's safe." Well, have you ever lived there? Well, no. Okay, well then, what do you know? The Ukrainian Village is a cool neighborhood. It's eclectic. It's a young neighborhood. There's of course families that have been there forever. But what really has sort of put it on the map for me and my family is Kasama. Kasama is the only Michelin star rated Filipino restaurant in the world, and it is here in my hometown of Chicago. It's right on, I believe, Augusta, and it's on Augusta in Ukrainian Village, West Side Chicago, and the folks that run it, this beautiful couple, you can go there and you can get sort of, the Filipino breakfast of, longanisa and egg and garlic rice. You can also get, they have, cool sort of hybrid sandwiches that take Chicago food and merge it with Filipino food. You can get an Italian beef that has longanisa inside of it. So it's sort of this Filipino spin on the traditional Chicago Italian beef. Their pastries are incredible. I'm really not a sweets guy, but there have been entire visits that we've gone there where all I've gotten for breakfast were their fruit tarts. They have a berry tart. They have um, an ube huckleberry tart, which is delicious, and an ube latte, which is also delicious. If you don't know what ube is, you've been sleeping under a rock. Ube is, as far as I'm concerned, it's the new vanilla. There's a chain of cafes in Southern California called Cafe 86, run by a Filipino family, and their whole thing is ube. It's UBE. It's Filipino purple yam, and it's kind of sweet. And they make everything from cakes to cookies to butter bars, you name it, out of it. You can make drinks, you can make shakes. Ube ice cream is delicious. Uh, but this place, Kasama, in again in a Ukrainian village, West Side Chicago, has this delicious ube latte. They've got ube in their pastries. So if you like Filipino food and you like sort of like that homey Filipino food or something that's more elevated, because they have a tasting menu that they offer, which is, it's actually hard to get on the list for it. Like they're just crushing it. I'm so happy for these people. They're really friendly. They make incredible food. The the environment, the ambiance of the neighborhood is fantastic as well. So if you know what's good for you, if you don't have Filipino friends and family, get some and take them to Kasama, because it absolutely earns that Michelin star. It's a fantastic spot. In addition to Kasama, there's a place called Standing Passengers. You know me, I'm a big coffee guy, as you can see out here now. There's a great cafe called Standing Passengers, which I believe is right on, hang on a second here. Where's there? Standing Passengers, right on Chicago Avenue. So literally, you go east on Chicago Avenue, you're straight to downtown. You keep going west. So you've got like Wicker Park, um, Noble Square. So it's just, here's Noble Square, here's Standing Passengers. It's right there. It's a really cool eclectic cafe that has old arcade games. Like you can play like Galaga and Pac-Man, and you can get there's the big sort of the big going Chicago brand of coffee is Dark Matter. Dark Matter coffee comes from Chicago. There's several Dark Matter cafes, but they sell their coffee to everyone. And Standing Passengers right there on the west side on Chicago, I found it by accident. I was walking with my family, a mixture of Filipinos from the Bay Area and LA. And we were just, because, Chicago is so walkable. And of course we're there, on the west side, because, that's home now in Chicago. And we're walking, and it starts to rain because, they say in Chicago, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute, it'll change. And it did. Started to rain, and we, it's like, oh, we're trying to find some place. And what's this place? Okay, coffee, great. It's called Standing Passengers, meaning it's like when you're on the L train and you're just holding on and just, ride the rails. And we go in, and it's got cool art on the walls. They've got these old video games, just kind of cool young people just hanging out, drinking their coffee. I'm like, this place is dope. And we all got our coffee. And my one cousin Bernie, he really he's sort of the bellwether. I know when a place is really good if he likes it, because he has like such perfect taste, and maybe it's because he and I have similar taste. But he knows food, he knows drink, he knows coffee, and he took that first sip of Standing Passengers coffee, Dark Matter blend, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he was right. The place was great. We just sort of hung out there for probably a good hour. We were hanging out there just talking to folks, the baristas behind the counter, talking to the people there. That's another thing that I love about Chicago that I don't necessarily get in LA, is I can go someplace and immediately just chat somebody up, just start talking about anything, and literally make a new friend, talk about multiple topics over the course of a conversation, and then just be on our way. And that's what happens. Standing passengers on Chicago Avenue on the west side. It's just a cool place to kick back, do some work, do some writing if you're a writer like me, or again, bring your family. There's a lot of cool stuff that goes on downtown, and I watch a lot of Chicago visitor vlog content on YouTube, and it breaks my heart when people never get out of downtown. And again, if you don't know anybody in Chicago, it's kind of, you need that in. But one of the things I would really encourage people, if you're not from Chicago, don't just stay downtown, and don't rent a car. Get yourself a CTA pass for however many is. You can get like a 1 day, a 3 day, or a 7 day pass. Even if you're not there for 7 days, just get the 7 day just to cover yourself, and get on the rail, and just pick a stop and get off of that stop and check out almost every stop on the L trains, whether it's blue, green, brown, yellow, purple, red. Uh, there's always, within a few stops, a restaurant, a cafe, a bar, a bookstore, you name it. That's where the real Chicago is. We're a city of neighborhoods, and which sounds like, well, yeah, every city is a city of neighborhoods, but no, Chicago really is. We're 77 community areas, but maybe around 180 to 200 neighborhoods. And every single one of them has its own feel and its own personality and its own vibe. So, nothing against downtown. Downtown is awesome. There's lots that downtown offers, but it's not everything. So, do yourself a favor and explore the west side, and definitely check out Saying Passengers. While we're at it, another spot that I really love, and it's not a neighborhood that gets a lot of love, and Humboldt Park on the west side, which is our traditional Puerto Rican neighborhood. And you can see as you enter Humboldt Park, there's a gate. It's a sort of a giant Puerto Rican flag. It's beautiful. I believe it's at the beginning and end of Division going through Humboldt Park, and I love Humboldt Park. I've loved Humboldt Park my entire life. And what upsets me is, like parts of the South Side, you have voices in not just Chicago media, but unfortunately Chicago media and national media that talk about it like it's a less than stellar place. And that's not true. It's a neighborhood full of beautiful people, kind people, people who will bring you in and give you arroz ganudes. It's a really great neighborhood full of great cafes and great restaurants. Humboldt Park itself is massive. Humboldt Park might be the second biggest park in Chicago after Lincoln Park, which I think Lincoln Park might want to be one of the largest parks in the country. But Humboldt Park, the park itself, is massive. It's a big old green space, and it's right sort of in the center of East and West Humboldt Park. If you've never had Puerto Rican food, again, go to Humboldt Park and just walk down the streets. You'll find bakeries, cafes, sandwich spots. One of my favorite spots in Humboldt Park is called Jibaritos y Mas, which the jibarito is sort of the Puerto Rican equivalent of the Chicago Italian beef. By that, I mean the Chicago Italian beef isn't in Italy. It was made by Italians in Chicago. The jibarito is a Puerto Rican sandwich that, as far as I know, doesn't exist in Puerto Rico, but was created in Chicago. And what's cool about the jibarito, so delicious, is instead of using bread, they take two plantains and they smash them down and they fry them, and that serves as the bread for your sandwich. So you've got these two fried plantains, and then you have your choice of beef or pork or both, tomatoes, lettuce. There's some type of I believe, a dressing on there, mayonnaise, sometimes cheese if you want cheese. Smash that sucker down, and then they top the very top of the sandwich. So imagine like you've got the top of the bun here, and they sprinkle garlic on top of it. Like, if you're half a dago like I am, you love garlic, and this is one of the best sandwiches in the city. There's a few places that do it. Jibaritos y Mas does it. The Barican Lounge, which is near Barican Lounge. Where is Barican Lounge? Is that North Center? I believe I can't remember exactly, but we've got several Puerto Rican spots, and you should try the jibarito. Jibarito is a sandwich you need to try right next to the Italian beef, right next to the Italian steak bread and sandwich from Rico Bene's, the pizza puff, the Chicago style hot dog. Jibarito really does deserve to be in that pantheon of great Chicago foods. So again, West Side, check out Humboldt Park, Jibaritos y Mas. There's another spot too in after you've had your Jibarito, if you still have room, walk over to Cafe Colau. Cafe Colau there in Humboldt Park has incredible breakfast sandwiches that I discovered with my family, but they've also got great just Puerto Rican donuts and pastries, pasteles, that are also really delicious. Incredible coffee as well, Cafe Colau. It's just a fun, like a Sunday morning. You know, go over there, you get yourself like a coffee or a pastry or your breakfast sandwich, and the breakfast sandwiches are just I don't know what it is, but Chicago, I don't care what ethnic background, we crush breakfast sandwiches. Kasama does it well with their Filipino spin. Cafe Kalau does it beautifully with Puerto Rican spin. It's just, it's an embarrassment of riches of great food in our city. And, you know, Humboldt Park is no different. So after Jibaritos y Mas, go get dessert and a coffee at Cafe Kalau. My family's a big fan of Wicker Park as well. Wicker Park, Bucktown area. So you've got sort of like you've got Damon Avenue running north and south, North Avenue east and west, and then you have Milwaukee that's sort of, or maybe this way, cutting diagonal through. And right at the Damon Blue Line stop, you have like right below the L stop, you have Stan's Donuts, which is one of the best donuts in the city. I love Stan's. I also love Do Right Donuts. That's right under there. You've got then if you go up, so you cross North Avenue and then you go up Milwaukee, you have Small Cheval, which I will take it to the mat. I will die on this hill. Small Cheval, in my opinion, might be the best cheeseburger in the country. And I invite all of you to come and check it out and try it because it's so good. Small Cheval and there's several Small Cheval restaurants. There are little satellite restaurants that do the burgers and fries of the mothership restaurant called Au Cheval, which is in Fulton Market, which is sort of near West Loop on the west side. But Small Cheval, I think every time my Cali fam goes to Chicago, we hit Small Cheval. Sometimes it Stan's Donuts, sometimes it's Do Right, but Small Cheval every single time. They'll bookend entire trips. Like my niece, last time she was in town, we started with Small Cheval, and on her way to O'Hare Airport, she stopped at Small Cheval, got burgers and fries, and took it to the airport. That's how hardcore my family is and how in love they are with Small Cheval and Chicago food. But Small Cheval there on Milwaukee Avenue is great. Again, there's several throughout the city, but we tend to hang out there because in Wicker Park, in addition to Small Cheval, we have there's a place called the Violet Hour Lounge. This lounge has been around for a while, I believe, maybe 15 years. And what's great is it's sort of it's speakeasy style, so you don't know it's there. There's actually sort of this wall along Damon, and it doesn't look like there's anything there. You open this door to what looks like an abandoned building, and it's beautiful. Like you've got like these beautiful sort of satin walls, and it's the Violet Hour Lounge. The Violet Hour Lounge there on Damon is built and sort of furnished, styled after the French salons of the 1950s. And I'm not a drinker, but obviously when I go with my family, I'll have a drink. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful sort of higher end lounge. You have to have a jacket if you're a gentleman, and you know, in terms of ladies, you can't really go in with like the spaghetti strap dresses. You know, it's a classy joint, as we like to call it, Chicago. So you can't be showing up looking like a bum. We're not doing sweatsuits. We're not doing sweatpants. We're not doing spaghetti strap dresses. Dress like ladies and gentlemen, okay? When you go there, because they won't let you in otherwise. But when you do get in, it's just fun. It's kind of fun to dress up with friends, with loved ones. You know, put your jacket on, maybe throw on a suit or a tie, and just go have like a nice drink in this beautiful, beautiful lounge space. The Violet Hour is probably one of my top lounge, maybe top 3 lounges in the city. It's really worth your time, and it's right there in Wicker Park. Another spot that we found by accident last time, also in Wicker Park, on on Milwaukee, south of North Avenue, is a place called the Revel Room, and we had meant to go to another bar or lounge, and that place was just packed and loud and obnoxious, and we're like, well, we don't really want to do that. And there were, how many of us were there? Maybe 9 of us, and we were like, screw it, we'll walk around. Again, it's Chicago, you can just walk around, you're going to find something else. And we sure did, in this place called the Revel Room, which was sort of darkly lit. It had these big high back red leather couches with so dope, so cool. Like the aesthetic and the look of it alone just sort of pulled me in. And then we get there, and they have $3 Old Styles. Those of you who aren't from Chicago, Old Style is sort of like the local beer of Chicago. It's not a strong beer. It's not like an IPA. It's low alcohol volume, something that you can drink with pizza, hot dogs, Italian beef, you name it, tacos. It goes great with everything. It's light, it's crisp, and it's only $3 a can at the Revel Room. And again, my California family are like, it's how much? Are you sure? They're just always blown away by our prices. Because in Chicago, we believe that food and drink should not cost you an arm and a leg. And so we had a really great time. We hung out at the Revel Room for hours, just talking and laughing. And they had a DJ playing music. It was a really, really good time. And from there, we went to one of my favorite spots that I hadn't been. I don't think I had been to this place 5 years before my deciding to ping pong back and forth through between LA and Chicago. And there's a place called The Hat, which is Ashland and North Avenue. The Hat, and there's hats in different places. Like in LA, there's a hat, and in LA, it's like teriyaki burgers, chili, tacos. That's sort of like the triumvirate, or not the triumvirate, the pantheon of LA street food. They have a place called The Hat. But in Chicago, we have our own The Hat. And what's great about The Hat is you can get all your favorite indigenous Chicago and Chicago street food in one place until about 3 in the morning, until about 3 a.m. A lot of places aren't open that late anymore. And, this last trip that my family took to Chicago, we were walking past midnight, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, even Saturday night. And I have these folks walking 12 to 15 miles a day, and they don't even realize it. Everybody's looking at their steps, looking at their Apple Watch, like, geez, So we're getting our steps in. We're cutting our causes of all our rates of all-cause mortality in half with all these steps. And we get to the end of the night. It's like, God, I'm hungry. So we go to The Hat there on Ashland and North, and you can get Chicago-style hot dogs. You can get gyros. You can get cheeseburgers. You can get pizza puffs, Chicago's very own pizza puff. If you haven't had it, you got to get it when you go to Chicago. It's not a Hot Pocket. It's a million times better, but it's filled with pizza toppings. It's delicious. What else? Polish sausage. Get yourself a Polish sausage with fries. And what else am I missing? Italian beef. Get yourself a beef. Get it dunked, baptized, if you will. It's delicious. The Hat. My go-to meal at The Hat is 2 Chicago-style hot dogs, of course, dragged through the garden because that's what Chicago-style means. Everything on it. A fry, and a Diet Coke because I'm watching my figure. But The Hat it's just a cool, fun place. It's a cross-section of the city. It's young people, neighborhood people, visitors like my family. It's firefighters. It's construction guys. It's finance people. It's like Al's. But again, you have that whole pantheon of Chicago street food that everybody should try. So it's one of those things. If you've been to Chicago and you've somehow missed something in terms of our Chicago street food, if you're near a Hat, just hit that Hat a couple times over the course of time that you're here, and you'll be able to cover yourself. But absolutely worth it, and they nail everything they do. The gyros are as good as the Italian beef, are as good as the Chicago-style hot dogs, are as good as the pizza puffs. So delicious. The Hat there on North Avenue in Ashland. Let's see. I'm checking this stuff off here as I talk about it. Ukrainian Village, Standing Passage, Kasama, Ibaritos Imas, Captain Palau. A neighborhood that if I could buy right now, god damn, I wish I was in the position to buy. Noble Square is a neighborhood. It's just south of West Town, just east of East Village, and north of, what neighborhood is that? So it's just north of Standing Passengers there in Chicago. So north of Chicago, Noble Square. And the reason I would want to buy there is because Old St. Boniface Church, when I was 2 or 3 trips ago, was walking through with my niece, and we just decided to stay in Noble Square. So we did. And we were 10, 12-minute walk from the Division Blue Line. Perfect. Uh, we kept walking past St. Boniface in this old church, and it had been completely hollowed out. I believe I had been to mass there like a really long time ago, like 20 years ago. Well, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. It would be great to buy property, a house or a condo in this neighborhood, because when they finish the church, it's going to be beautiful. And I literally, as I was doing research for this episode, found out that St. Boniface is being turned into condos. This beautiful Catholic church is going to be turned into these beautiful condos. The renderings that are online are just unbelievable. If you go to Chicago IMBY, they've got the renderings of what it's going to look like. The actual church itself will be turned into condos, and then there's going to be a whole separate building next to it that will be condos, sort of black steel, black metal, and of course, red Chicago brick, like we do. And God, oh, I wish I was in the position to buy, because I absolutely would buy one of these units. I love that neighborhood. Noble Square is a slept-on neighborhood because it's south of West Town. It's east of Ukrainian Village, I believe, if I have the map in my head correct. Yeah, because if you keep going east, it becomes Cabrini Green, which Cabrini Green and River is not what it used to be, River North area. But yeah, I totally would snag a spot in Noble Square. So if you are looking to move to Chicago, or you love Chicago and are need an investment property, I'd look at Noble Square. That looks super cool. So Noble Square is fun. Those St. Boniface condos, those are going to get snatched up if they haven't been already. The other big spot that my family adores on the west side. So we've done everything from Humboldt Park. We're working our way closer and closer to the West Loop. And closest to the West Loop is the neighborhood of Fulton Market. Those of you who know the city know that Fulton Market was basically a big meatpacking district. Because at some point in Chicago's history, from the late 1800s through maybe almost the mid 20th century, we were the butcher to the country, maybe to the world. We processed more meat in Chicago from the Union Stockyards and places like Fulton Market than anywhere in the country. Well, that whole area of Fulton Market has been transformed into a really trendy but cool, not annoying, it's quasi bougie, but Chicago, we're so real, we're so grounded that even if you're white collar and bougie, you're still more real than bougie folks from other places. And I'm very much a neighborhood guy. I'm a hole in the wall guy. Let's go find a real joint type of guy in terms of Chicago. But I love Fulton Market, and I've been able to appreciate Fulton Market through my family and a couple family members that are way bougier than I am. But Fulton Market's it's awesome. You have I talked about Small Cheval earlier. The mothership restaurant, Au Cheval, is right there. I believe that's Randolph in Fulton Market. So that's where it started before they started spinning off these burger places throughout the city. Small Cheval also has a burger, but the burger you can get at Au Cheval is not the same as the Small Chevals are designed for. Your basic cheeseburger, here's what's on it, that's that, enjoy. At Au Cheval, you can get a thick slice of bacon on your burger with a whole runny egg, over easy egg with pickle, and it's garlic aioli. It's, again, Au Cheval, Small Cheval, best burgers in the country. I don't care what anybody says. Are they more? It's more expensive at Au Cheval than Small Cheval, and there's also there's burgers outside of Small Cheval that are probably less expensive but equally delicious. But in terms of like pinnacle burger, small Chabal is great. Au Chabal if you want something more fancy. But Au Chabal is right there in Fulton Market. And nearby there's a Levain Bakery, which does these cookies that are, it's like you just stuck your hand into the cookie batter and scooped up a ball and baked it like a ball. Uh, I'm not a dessert guy. I'm not a cookie guy, but I love their oatmeal raisin cookie. And it's like this. It's literally like a ball. Everything they do is delicious. Their coffee's delicious. There's also the Wolf Bar near that. We stopped by the Wolf Bar. We were trying to go into another space that was way too bougie, frankly, too cool for yours truly. And we went into the Wolf Bar, and the Wolf Bar felt more like a traditional Chicago bar, where it wasn't fancy, but the drinks were high quality, the people were cool, the music was just perfect. Wolf Bar right there near Au Cheval is delicious. Also, a Chicago Italian institution that you all seriously need to check out, all right, is JP Graziano. JP Graziano, Italian sandwiches, um, Italian foods. Like if you just want, if you're the type that cooks a lot of Italian food, you can get a lot of your specialty food items, spices, and things through JP Graziano there in Fulton Market. But the sandwiches are killer. If you like a good Italian sandwich with salami and capicola and the mozzarella and the provolone and the Italian dressing, all that stuff on that just beautiful Italian bread, JP Graziano, one of the best sandwiches in the entire city. And again, after one of those, you just walk around and wear it off because, of course, you'll eat again at some point. But JP Graziano for fantastic Italian sandwich in on the west side. There's also my family really loved the Time Out Market there in Fulton Market. Time Out Market is basically kind of just like a big old food hall that's brought to you by the people who publish Time Out magazine. You know, like you've got Time Out Chicago, Time Out London, Time Out wherever. And there's, what did I get when I was there? Greek food. Because again, being a Chicagoan, you grow up on Greek, you grow up on German, you grow up on these other things. And other cities don't have that. Like, it's taken me 9 years in LA to find a German place that turns out is 3 miles from my house in LA. But there's something about Chicago German because we have a deeper history of German food and also a deeper history of Greek food. Greek culture, Greek food, like German culture and German food, is just embedded and just woven into the DNA of Chicago in a way that it isn't in places like LA. And so I got to get me some Greek when I'm there. And normally I'd go to Greek Town, which is another spot on the west side that you have to go to. There's great Greek restaurants and cafes. Not as many as there used to be, which does kind of break my heart a bit. We just don't have the Greek families that establish those places. Just their kids aren't wanting to take over the business and keep them going like they used to. So they're still there. It's not as pronounced as it used to be. Same with the German neighborhood like Lincoln Square where I lived. It's like one of the strongholds of German culture. We have the German called the Danke German Cultural Center. So it's still there. It's not as pronounced as it used to be. But Time Out Market, you can get, long story long, right? Time Out Market, you can get everything from African to South American to Greek to, I'm trying to remember what some of my family got. I don't remember what they ate. I was so pulled in by my Greek food that I just blinders. The Time Out Market's pretty cool too. If you have picky eaters and adventurous eaters sort of in your group, Time Out Market is really a great place to stop. They've got something for everyone. What else? So we covered Humboldt Park, Wicker Park, Noble Square, West Town. I gotta tell you guys, I love just walking down Chicago Avenue. And I don't mean east towards downtown. I mean just walking further and further west through West Town and finding places that, and again, this isn't by no means an exhaustive list of places that you should, or a definitive list of places you should visit or check out on the west side. I know I've forgotten stuff. I know as soon as I turn this off, I'm going to remember 5 places that I wish I would have talked about. So if there's anything that I did miss, and absolutely sure that I have. Comment below, and let me know, are there places that maybe I'm not aware of on the west side that deserve to be repped and chatted up and shared, because I'll absolutely hit them and bring them to you later. But west side, all these places, all the way through to Humboldt Park, there's some real gems here. And again, depending on, if you're more bougie, there's a spot. If you're more yuppie, there's a spot. If you are more, I don't know, grounded street, blue collar, there's a spot. Those are my folks. But there's so much on the west side, and I feel that a lot of our conversations, our dialogues in the city, it's always north versus south side, north side, south side, and we sort of leave our folks on the west side hanging quite a bit. And because it's because it's Cubs versus Sox. That's a lot of it is, north versus south in Chicago. And obviously the west side doesn't have their own baseball team. And some are Cubs fans, some are Sox fans. But there's so many gems on the west side. In addition to, again, Humboldt Park, it's one of my favorite parks. I love to just walk through there. It's one of those places where I can just sit and just hear the wind blow across the grass. I could hear the leaves rustling as I sit there with the coffee that I got from Standing Passengers, or I'm resting after I've had a jibarito there at Humboldt Park. It's just a cool, funky, eclectic, cultured, anachronistic part of town. But frankly, every part of Chicago is that way. The north side is that way. The south side is that way. And again, so much of what I'm talking about here is sort of my rediscovery of the west side. I love it so much. It really does feel like home, despite the fact that for a period of time it was Little Italy. And that's another one. Check out Little Italy. Little Italy, you've got, I believe, D'Amato's Bakery right there. Let me just double check again. Bear with me, guys. Sorry about this. D'Amato's Bakery. Let me just pull this up. If I'm remembering correctly, it's on Grand Avenue. Yes. Okay. Absolutely. It's right there on Grand, just west of River West. D'Amato's, I believe, is cash only, but they've got some killer Italian sandwiches too. You go over there and get the vodka parm, their eggplant parm, all of it's super good. But definitely, while again, Little Italy, like our German neighborhoods and Greektown, is not as pronounced as it once was, because the older generation have passed on, and you kind of have that boomer generation that's kind of maintaining it and not as being able to successfully pass the baton on to the younger kids who've either moved to the suburbs, or they don't want to run the family business. They want to do their own thing. It's still there. You have Al's Beef, which my first Italian beef in my life was from Al's Beef, and then right across the street from that is Mario's Italian Ice. In the summertime, that's when they're open. And, lemon Italian ice in the summertime. Right there in the heart of Little Italy. Like, there are times where it's so hot and sticky out that I will forego the sandwich. I'm just like, dude, I'm going to be across the street. I'm going to get an Italian ice. You eat your heavy, meaty sandwich. I got to have my Italian ice. I've got to put some fluid and some sugar back into my system so I can then cross the street and eat that Italian beef. But yeah, summertime in Little Italy is a special. I mean, anytime in Little Italy is special, but in my memory banks, it's so much of summer in Chicago is places like Little Italy with that Italian ice, and it's just sitting there out on the street, just enjoying it. A little breeze comes through every now and then. You've got old people talking, you've got kids running around, and that's so true of so many of our neighborhoods. But yeah, there's a renewed love, a renewed vigor, and just I'm hopelessly in love again with the west side of Chicago. And my next assignment is to head down to Bronzeville and to do the same thing with the south side, because every trip that I go back, I've got a few friends down there in Bronzeville area, and I try to get down there and go to those local coffee shops and those local restaurants and soul food places, and Mickey's places like that are just Chicago gems, Chicago joints. But yeah, the West Side, um, damn near the best. But it's choosing between sides, north, south, west, and Chicago. It's like choosing between your kids. But for right now, the West Side really feels like home. Sort of rediscovering it, appreciating it, especially through the eyes of my family. That again, they aren't even from Chicago, and these are Californians. So, I think so much of our national dialogue about cool places in the world, at least in our not the world, our country, New York, California, Chicago. Just we do our own thing. We always have. We've always faced inward. We really could care less about what the rest of the world does. We're too busy doing our own thing, which is what makes us so dope, and what makes us. I think what has made our food, our culture, our architecture so great is because we're just focused on the things that we do. We're not focused on the outside. But we are taking a lesson from California and from New York. And it's like, no, we've got plenty to puff out our chest about. We have plenty to brag about and to share with the world about. So it is kind of cool to bring, your California family to your home and them just their eyes are just so big and they're just enamored by everything, the walkability, the friendliness. You're no more than 5 to 10 feet away from a coffee, a beer, a taco, a donut, a sandwich, um, and a good conversation too. It's really sort of fun to have this experience. And again, if there's any places that I've missed here on the West Side, please tell me. I'll go there immediately because I could talk about the West Side all day and all long. But also, not don't let's not limit this to the West Side either. If there's gems, again, I've covered a lot of the North Side. North Side, for the most part, I'll do that last, just because that was the last place that I lived before my ping ponging back and forth between Chicago and LA. But I'd love to hear from West Siders and especially South Siders in terms of places that I should talk up next, places I could visit. At some point, I promise you guys, we will be doing actual vlogs of going to cafes. I'll actually have video. It won't just be me talking about this stuff. But right now, I have so many things that I'm juggling that I don't have the opportunity. My hope is that maybe end of summer, we'll be able to do some real vlogs and take you to these places in person on video, maybe do some lives. But I'd really love to hear from West Siders and South Siders in particular at this time for this show of places that aren't, and not just food. I mean, we always do, it's easy in Chicago because it's not just food, cafes and bars, but places that to hang out. Well, Shabar and I think are going to do an episode soon of just our favorite places to hang, places just to chill in the city. So any of those recommendations, in addition to restaurants and cafes, we'll take. But I don't always want to make it about food. It's so easy to do because we're Chicago and we're Chicagoans. And food, like sports, like architecture, those are that's our true religion there. So just great hangs. And on the West Side, I love a street side cafe. I love Humboldt Park. Just there's good spots there. Um, yeah, guys. If there's, in fact, hang on a second here. Let me. What do we have here? How do I? Union Park. I've forgotten about Union Park, which is near Kaiser Tiger. Which, if you keep going down Randolph from Fulton Market, you'll reach Kaiser Tiger, which is a great restaurant, worth checking out. And then there's Union Park right there, and then you hit Ashland. Um, where is it? Chicago Philly Stop, which I think is North Avenue in Ashland, was the first place I got a couple of my Cali family pizza puffs, and that was a huge hit. We actually walked over to the park, and we're like hanging over like our bags, eating our pizza puffs because Californians, there's no pizza puff out. There are pizza puffs now in LA, a place called Juicy J's, which is on 6th Street in Koreatown, LA. And they do Chicago food. But besides that, nobody in California knows what the hell a pizza puff is. So it's fun to introduce your Californian family to pizza puff. Uh, that's pretty cool. Everybody loved it. But that's enough for today, guys. Please, if you've stuck with me this long, like, subscribe, comment below on other great places on the West Side, South Side, anywhere that you think are worthy of discussion, or worth visiting. And again, we'll add all of these places to future actual blogs where we go to these places and we eat the food and we talk about it on location. I just, it's a lot of logistics, and it does require, a bit of planning and money. So the more of you guys that subscribe and like and help kick me up in the algorithm, the more likely it is I'm going to be able to do all this cool stuff. But I do appreciate the dedicated 30 to 40 of you that have been watching the channel. We appreciate it so much. I love doing this. I love talking about it and sharing it with you guys wherever you are. And yeah, just stay tuned, stick with us, and we'll keep building this thing and just do more dope stuff. So until then, next time you're in Chicago, do the downtown stuff. Cool, Miracle Mile, Sears Tower, Sky Deck, Hancock Center, Navy Pier, yada yada. But then go to the west side, check out Fulton Market, and just keep going further and further west. There's dope spots all over. And until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.